Welcome back to Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. We're here for our NFL Week 10 review. Double-digit weeks down, single-figure weeks to go. That's probably the same last week, right? Anyway, but we're here with our Week 10 review and some bad maths, quite clearly. Byron, Joe, with me as always. Gentlemen, how are you both doing as we talk about a wonderful, wacky, wild Week 10?
Yeah, it was a fun one, yeah. Dallas didn't lose as well, so we'll take that as a win.
I think they did kind of lose, and we'll talk about that in one of the games we're focusing on. They kind of lost the bye week, yeah.
I'm not sure who we lost to, but fair enough. Didn't lose on the schedule anyway. But yeah, it was a fun week of matchups all day with Falcons Colts early in the window, and then Steelers Chargers late in the window. It was a all-day affair.
All day affair indeed. Joe, how was your Week 10? Long one?
Yeah, it was well, I would say it was fun. A lot of great comebacks. One which absolutely sniped me in the fourth quarter, which we'll get onto, and a few other close bets as well. There was a lot of nail biting and not quite pulled it off. But it was a fun week in terms of, some of the games established the front runners, and some games you're like, oh, God knows what that team is anymore, and we've had worries about them, and it's made it a little bit more interesting with some of the wins. Like, okay, they're back in it, they're not fully gone away. Some of the divisions are wide open again, so it's it's pretty fun.
Yeah, actually, you mentioned close to a few bets, but we had 13 winning bets so far. We've still got Monday Night Football to go, as we're recording on a Monday night. So yeah, 13 winners. We'll talk you through all of those later on, but another productive week with the bets for the good teams and great teams cover, guys. Let's start with our gaming focus. I think lots to choose from this week. We've had some weeks where maybe it's been difficult to choose, but lots to choose from this week. And we're going to go with Patriots Buccaneers as our gaming focus. Patriots 28. Buccaneers 23. Hyped Henderson breaks out as Pats are in 7 heaven. Rookie running back is freed and shows out with 2 huge touchdowns as Patriots shine on the road in Tampa. No fourth quarter magic from Baker and co this time. Pretty impressive performance, I think, in on the whole from the New England Patriots. I think this for me sealed that they're legit. For sure, if it didn't already, I'm sure others were already there on the Patriots. But for me, this sealed that they are legit and a force to be reckoned with the 2025 season. What did you make of it, guys?
Very impressive, yeah. And it's funny, the Travian Henderson note. It took Terrell Jennings going down for us to finally see Travian Henderson get a full workload. And yeah, he really took advantage. 10 yards of carry, 2 touchdowns. And I loved on his final touchdown to, kind of seal the deal, where he's looking over, he's that far clear and that open that he's, looking at the coach and stuff like, do I go in? Do I go down? Like, obviously go in. So yeah, 147 yards, 2 touchdowns for him. Really good to see him get going. Nothing through the passing game yet, but it's just really good to see him utilized, because you're kind of thinking, like, we all know this guy's good, right? Is there something we're missing here? Like, he looked great at Ohio State, so what's happening? And yeah, apparently just needed, like I say, no Ramondre, no Terrell Jennings, who I'm assured is a real person, to go down. And they're happy to unleash him. So, yeah, really pleasant to see that.
Feels like he's not going to go back in the box now. Like, I think that's it. He is the guy. He needs to be getting close to 20 touches a game. And he, again, I think just the key of the 2 runs, like off the back of, obviously they have the back-to-back possessions because of, I thought, excellent piece of kind of game management from Vrabel. And so I really thought the Falcons should have done in the earlier game, but just kind of wind down that clock and make sure actually the Bucs don't get to touch the ball again before halftime, knowing you get it coming out. It worked. Ended up being a bit risky because you'd hope it would be a bit more straightforward in terms of punching in the touchdown. But calculated risk, and it worked. And then obviously the Patriots scored 14 unanswered, and the game stayed like that for quite a period of time while the Patriots played a lot of defense. But Henderson had the big play coming out of halftime, the big run to give them that second touchdown, and he had the dagger at the end to kind of kill it off. So I thought they were very, very impressive. I thought he had again, like, we've been waiting for this for 10 weeks, and we see it sometimes with rookie running backs that maybe like they take a little bit of time to get going, and in the second half of the season they come good. But he feels like if he can become the guy, that's somebody heading into December and January that they can really, really lean on. And we want to start being able to run the ball effectively the back end of the season and in the playoffs, which I think they'll they'll get that from Henderson. Joe, what did you make of this one from a Patriots perspective, first of all, before we talk about the Bucs?
Yeah, I think it was an all-round performance. I think the defense stepped up a lot more. I think that's always been the worry, that it's been, average to good defense. They haven't played, I wouldn't say, top of the line offenses the last few weeks, and then you play against this Buccaneers. Obviously, it helps with them having all the injuries, especially wideouts with Evans being out and Godwin as well. So I think they've certainly hit them at the right time. But I think what's impressive about New England is it's like the offense wasn't, I wouldn't say it was like churning out, it wasn't dominating, but what they did they hit the big plays. When you look at like the running game, for example, the two big rushing touchdowns was 125 yards of their 166. So the rest of the game, they only got 40 yards on 25 carries. But that's what you need in these kind of games is that big play games. You look at the wide receivers. Mac Hollins was his longest was 54. Carl Williams 72. DeMarcus Douglas 26. When you look compared to the Bucs, other than Ibuka, the highest was K-Dot at 16, the longest. So it feels like the Patriots were able to hit, and when they hit, they got them big plays. And I think Drake makes some of them throws, especially when he got absolutely cream crackered by the end of it, especially that Max Hollins was incredible. I know he only got 16-31, which I think says more about the Bucs defense. I think what Todd Bowles can do to try and confuse offenses. I think they had a good game plan, but they just hit the huge plays. Even though, like you mentioned, the end of the half, just because they couldn't run in short down distance, that was. I'm not quite sure if it was the right thing to do. Obviously, it worked out at the end, but he had to come from a Drake May perfect throw to Diggs, who made a great catch and able to get his both feet in against Bucs, one of their best defenders. So, big players were making big plays. And it's just impressive, these youngsters now. I think, like I said, that defense is the people that brought in, Milton Williams and a few others, are stepping up big. And the offensive line against this Bucs daunted defense also held up as well, because Drake May only got sacked once. And like I said, I know he was just over 50% his completion percentage, but still, I think overall the full team stepped up, and that's what you need if you're going to go far. Is you can't just rely on one another, because you'll finally meet a team who will, focus on that weakness and able to smother them. So I was really impressed. I think the Bucs, we just got to take into account all the injuries they had, especially on offense. That I still think Ed Buki, even though he had a good game, I think it's a lot harder him just being the true number one and having Ted Johnson's number two, another rookie or second year, but to be number two, I think that's finally catching up. And obviously, when they got that interception, which I think was Drake May's, after the great throw, his worst mistake, you just thought Baker was going to go down 5 points down and clinch it again. But, the Patriots got into that backfield, and like I mentioned, the players they brought in certainly stepped up. It's certainly impressive being 8-2, and you look at the next 3 games, quite a few cupcakes as well. So it could be rolling through New England. It's Patriots and Colts and Broncos, top of the AFC. It feels all too familiar.
Yeah, and it is a serious. I think it's seriously in play now. The number 1 seed for the Patriots. I see you mentioned about those 3 cupcakes. 2 of them are in prime time. Jets Patriots Thursday Night Football, which we'll touch on before we finish. The Bengals, and then the Giants before. I guess at that point, that they host the Bills, and a win could seal the AFC East in Week 15. Which, if anyone we thought who would be sewing up the division at that point, it'd be the Buffalo Bills. But obviously, it's not worked out that case. I think probably what I was impressed the most about is that we 7-2. Yeah, they've won, for 6 games in a row before this one. This was a real test in terms of against a real strong team, and I think they passed it with flying colours. Of course, there's areas they can clean up and areas they can be better in. But every time a play needed to be made, it was the New England Patriots making the key play. And that's, again, a hallmark of a really, really good team. And I think they've got 2 big tests left, really. They've got back-to-back weeks, obviously the Bills, where they could potentially solve the division, and then they go to Baltimore against a likely continually resurgent Ravens. And I think that's going to set them up nicely for the postseason, I think, in terms of actually they are going to be battle-tested. And that was my worry, given the soft schedule, that they wouldn't be, but they're going to have had 4 big tests. Or 3 big tests, at least. I should. With this one, 4 big tests. So, I think the Patriots can really, really go far, and Drake May certainly banging that MVP conversation. Quick word on the Bucs from you two. What did you make of Tampa?
No, I think they were the second best team in the game. Right, wanting to be disrespectful, I know the Cup struggling with injuries, but yeah, Godwin we're not expecting back anytime soon. Bucky Irving, I think we're also not going to be expecting anytime soon. The injury reporting is not positive on him, so I think kind of the Bucs. I think the rest of the season is just kind of try and get as fit as you can, because I think the division's theirs already with the competition they have, and just try and develop these younger players. I don't think they're going to be an elite team. I think they're going to come down the power rankings as they lose to teams that are, better matching up than them. Ultimately, I think Baker still had a good game, 273 yards, 3 touchdowns. You can't really make a play field, but there's just not enough around him, with the injuries that have been there. I don't think this is like a killing loss, but I think it maybe just shows the Bucs' ceiling isn't quite as high as some of the other contenders.
Yeah, and when you look at the full season, they are 6-3. And when you look at some of the games they managed to sneak, against the Jets, against like the Seahawks, a few of them wins, you're like, okay, like it was 50-50. This one again could have been if Baker drove them down and managed to sneak a win, you would have been like, oh, it's the Bucs doing the Bucs, but it doesn't always work out that way. So I think 6-3 as a whole, I think probably represents what their season is. Like you said, they're going to win their division, so it's just getting them players fit again, and then the kind of team what could do something in the playoffs like they did last year. They obviously beat the Lions, which was a surprise going into, but I could see them doing that again against some of the big teams where you just need that one win. I think they've got the defense to keep them in games. It's just can the offense keep firing it and keep up with teams? So I think as a season as a whole, they're probably where they should be, and get fit and see what the playoffs. The next two games we're going to be interested are the Bills and Rams. Obviously, if you lose both of them, 6-5. So maybe the season, the NFC South might not be sewed up if they drop to 6-5. Carolina's still 5-5. I'll talk about it in a bit. And at the Falcons, if they manage to win 2 games, they go 5-6, and then it's open again. So even though we're thinking 6-3, it's fairly straightforward. The next 2 games interest, but then they do finish with Cardinals, Saints, Falcons, Panthers, Dolphins, Panthers. So
4 of the last 5 are division games, and we've got the Dolphins in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that they might be stagnant for a bit, but I would expect them, and we've got the Cardinals in there as well. So probably a run towards the end of the season to get that sewn up. But they've got again the losses: Patriots, Lions, Eagles. They're all 3 very, very, very good football teams. So Buccaneers 6-3, excellent. Right, let's move. Go on, sir.
Just before we move on, sorry, I just wanted to give another shout out. I said this a few weeks ago. Patriots haven't lost a game since Christian Gonzalez came back into the lineup. The 1-2 when he came in, they're 8-2 now. Another very solid game yesterday. 11 targets, 4 catches allowed. He's about 30% completion percentage when targeted on the season. I think he's exactly what this defense needed to really get cooking this year. And I don't know if he's a defensive player of the year candidate. I don't think he's quite standing out that much. But I think he's just been so useful and just, really good. Comeback player of the year narrative, maybe more than a DPOY.
Yeah, certainly. Excellent. Yeah, he's been unbelievable and continues to be a stud. Let's move on to our games in our spotlight and takeaway games. And I'm going to take us all the way to Berlin. Colts 31, Falcons 25. Colts rally and ride MVP candidate Taylor to OT win. Indy overcome turnovers and sacks to find victory in Berlin on back of another 3-touchdown day for JT. Falcons lack killer instinct, let another slip away. I feel like this is just rinse and repeat for the Atlanta Falcons. Kind of thought they did 95% of things right in this game in terms of if you draw up the game plan to how do you win this game against the Colts. They did it. They really, really limited them offensively. I thought for the main, it was kind of that fourth quarter chunk that Jonathan Taylor got. I think he'd run 7 for 7. Bearing in mind, Jonathan Taylor ends with 244 yards. He'd ran for about 70 before he takes off on the 83-yard touchdown run, which was the longest of his career. I think the longest rush in the NFL so far this season, I think, as well. But, relatively late in the fourth quarter, the Falcons have kept him in check given what he's done to other teams, throughout the season. And I just kind of thought they looked comfortable in the game. Offensively, it kind of tailed off a bit in the second half. Penix got very inaccurate, especially in the second half. but they were running the ball relatively well. I think they were 29, 140, controlled a lot of the clock well. Thought they could have controlled the clock on the drive to go ahead in the last 2 minutes better, and left Indy with less time. Maybe you could have forced them to burn that last time out, do what the Patriots did to the Bucs before halftime, but also take a bit more of the clock out and just be a bit more methodical, knowing actually, we talked about it, that Greg also thinking around you giving them the ball at the 30-yard line, 35-yard line, so they're going to get in field goal range pretty quickly, sort of piece, and which the Colts did. In fact, they almost did it off the bloody kickoff return. They got to halfway. So just things like that where we're talking about the Patriots needing to make a play, the Falcons couldn't. I thought it was really, really evident on the one play, the 3rd and 21, and they only rushed 4, having just sacked Daniel Jones, and they let him get 19 or 20 of the 21 yards back, and they were able to convert a really short 4th down. I think that was just an indictment of the coaching problems that the Atlanta Falcons have. You were getting home on Danny Dimes all day, 7 total sacks, send 5, pressure him, make him a quick decision, and you know what, they're going to go for it on 4th down anyway. Make sure they've got a medium to long 4th down to go for, not 4th and 1, 4th and 2. So again, just so good from the Falcons in so many aspects, and then they just fritter it away. Just bad decision making, coaching especially. Penix is getting a little bit of a pass at the minute in terms of his play. I thought first half he was good. I thought second half he was really, really poor, and there's a lot of plays and a lot of throws he'd want back. Drake London again, similar to last week, he was awesome, but just not enough for the Falcons. And at 3-6, I think they're done. Like, you're going to need 10 wins to get in the NFC. 10 wins, even if you're outside looking in for some on a tiebreaker. But yeah, they're not going to reel off, 7 wins in the next 8 weeks. Realistically, are they? What did you make of the Germany game? A cracker for the people in Berlin in the end.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. The German fans obviously took to Michael Penix because every time he was, dropping back to throw in the second half, you could hear them all yelling 9, his shirt number. I thought that was just very cool of them, like screaming that every time he dropped back to throw, 12 or 28. And yeah, I totally agree. I think Penix, yeah, I'm not sure how long the rope is. But speaking of 9, that's where the Rams currently will be picking in the NFL draft next year, thanks to the Atlanta Falcons. So the Falcons don't really have a long-term plan if Michael Penix isn't it. So I don't like writing off quarterbacks early and young. I defended J.J. McCarthy last week. I won't be doing that this week, FYI. I was like, you need to give them more time. You need to give them a little more time. You need to give them a little... Penix doesn't look like he's developing, which is the biggest concern, I think. It's the same kind of mistakes every week, and he looks a bit indecisive. He doesn't look like he trusts himself to make the throws that he can make, and I think that's really tough to put in place. You can put this plays in place for him, but you can't throw the ball for him.
Yeah.
So that's a really tough one. If it's not Drake London just big bodying his opponent, or if it's not Bijan on the dump off, I don't know what the Falcons passing game does well, and it's going to be really tough to overcome.
Yeah, isn't it more like, I get it, like obviously see Penix, but it feels like they do the same thing every week when you look at the players they've got. But then there's also big mistakes. There was that huge Kyle Pitts where he throws it straight in his hands and he just drops it. So it's just little things like that where not to coming together. Obviously, they've had Zach Robinson, offensive coordinator. There's definitely rumors about where that's going to go. Because I think if they don't make a change there soon, then obviously it's going to be more on Morris's shoulders. Because this has been a big disappointment for the Falcons, just with the gamble of going back up for James Pierce, using that second and first round. Like I said, if it's a top 10 pick, then they've absolutely blown it. When you look at it, like what they've got back from, like Pierce had a good game as well, and obviously Walker got a sack and a fumble. So in that sense, that's working. But it depends what next year's draft's supposed to be pretty good. And if you like missing out on a top 10 pick because you gambled and you thought you had your QB, and what happens to Morris, I think Zach Robinson is looking over his shoulder on that flight back because he might be getting booted out because when you look at that talent, it's just not good enough. Where it's like they try and do play action, but everyone knows that it's just probably going to go to Robinson, and no one bites at it. So it's not good enough in that sense. What where they go. And I think the difference sometimes as well is when they win overtime, just throw it to Drake London. They didn't even try to throw it to him. Sometimes your best players just win.
Yeah.
And that's what the Colts did when they needed big players. They went to their main man, Tyler Warren, and he made big catches. Big players made these big catches. We say that again. The best wide receivers in the league is all the defense know it's going to that player, but they still win anyway. You look at all the big players, and Drake London I think could be like that, but they sometimes think, oh no, we've got Mooney, so he's got a bit of speed. We'll just throw that a couple of times. Oh shit, we punt him back, and the Colts have got a chance to win it. So it's just disappointing, like the game plan that way. Just throw straight London, let him win. He's beat Sauce a couple of times. Just scheme it open, and it'll make the best players will make something happen.
And that's been such a trend, I think, this year with a lot of the backup quarterbacks. I'm not saying Penix is a backup, but like Jacoby Brissett and Joe Flacco especially, throw it to your best player.
Yeah.
Like these guys stay in the league and make their money because they know that is like the bread and butter of a good offense. Like, give Drake London 20 targets a game.
Yeah.
He'll be fine.
They targeted Drake London and Darnell Mooney 8 times. London got 104 yards on 6 receptions. Mooney got 17 off 1. So it's just like, take 3 or 4 of them, just try and give it to Drake London again. Give it to, even if it's tight coverage, if it, you can't just, there's probably a way like I said, you look at Tyler Warren, who, again, when he was going to that fourth down, you were like, it's probably going to go Tyler Warren because he's their safest hands, and it did. And he managed to catch and get yards as well on top of that. So,
but that's when that part of that game plan, if you kind of try and force it to Drake London a little bit and are successful, is the defense has to adapt and then other things open up. But it's certainly not quite the case. And on the flip side, the Colts bounced back after last week. I didn't think the performance was great. I thought the Colts were pretty disappointing in terms of they didn't really change. They didn't really show they'd adapted from last week or learned from last week. They say they were, I think, 4 fumbles and 3 of them they recovered, so they got a bit of bounce of the ball in their favour, and maybe a bit of bounce of the ball wasn't in their favour last week against the Steelers, and maybe evened out. But again, a couple of turnovers and just not really protecting Danny Dimes. Getting hit seven times, not conducive to a good performance. But Jonathan Taylor seems to be, he bounced back from a disappointing performance against the Steelers, and he ran for, 244, 3 touchdowns. He's joined a very exclusive club. He's the 4th player in NFL history to have at least 200 rushing yards and 3 rushing touchdowns in a game twice in his career. Any guesses in terms of there's 3 other members of that club who's he joined?
What was the number, sorry? 3 touchdowns and 200 yards?
Yeah, twice in his career, so twice in a game.
I went to say JJ, but he didn't have the touchdowns. He'd have the 200 yards back-to-back. Sorry, Joe, who did you say?
LaDainian Tomlinson?
No.
Yeah,
I have a bit of an out-there shout. I think it was his MVP season. Sean Alexander just put up fucking touchdowns and yards at will. I think it was 2005.
It's not Sean Alexander. I'll give you one clue. One is an active player.
I was going to say Jim Brown, but he's obviously
Jim Brown, so he's one of them. Jim Brown.
An active player.
CMC?
Nope.
Derrick Henry?
Derrick Henry. The other one is also a former MVP winner.
Marshall Faulk?
AP. Oh, Adrian Peterson. Yeah, Jim Brown, Adrian Peterson, and Derrick Henry, the other 3 members of that very exclusive club. So, Colts just got to kind of get a win. 8-2. I think they're in a position, what are they? 3 clear of the Jags now in the South. I think that kind of any doubt, if there was a lingering doubt of the division's done.
Yeah.
And it's just, again, Colts in that position there, competing with the Patriots, I guess, potentially for a number 1 seed.
Yeah, it's like olden days.
Aye, excellent. Right, next up, we've got Byron's Spotlight takeaway. You take it away, Byron.
Yeah, the Bears win at home 24-20 over the New York Giants. The Bears are flying. Brian Daboll is getting literally fired today. Giants throw away another lead. Daboll pays the price. As any signs of life drowned out with a Mr. Unlimited sighting. Sad way to end for Brian Daboll, but New York obviously felt the time had come. This is the 3rd throwaway of the season. Against the Cowboys, Broncos, and Bears, the Giants had a 92.3, 99.3, and 96.9% chance of winning late in the 4th quarter in those games. They lost them all. The odds of that happening are 1 in 60,000. And unfortunately for Brian, you did cash that ticket in at 1 in 60,000. I'm not sure if it's exactly just a losing. I'm not sure if it's a disregard for Jackson Dart's mental capabilities, who's had 4 times as many concussion checks as he had 250-yard passing games this season. He's in and out of that blue tent every week, and he's just getting destroyed. And I think maybe there's part of that where they don't want the coach to CTE their quarterback to death in his first season. I didn't expect this coming in season, the Brian Daboll firing, but I don't disagree with it. I think he might be a good play caller. I think he might have another shot as a head coach somewhere else. I think there's issues with the roster overall with Joe Sean, despite not doing too bad in the last draft. But not sure there's an instant fix in New York either. If all the players are fit, things will be good. But since 2015, the Giants rank second worst in the NFL. 59, 1, 14, and 1. They've got a tie in there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, things haven't been good for a while in New York, and a fresh change coming. I presume Joe Sean will lose his job end of season as well.
Well, I think he's obviously staying for now. Just this is the statement from the New York Giants that they issued it about an hour or so ago. New York Giants announced today that head coach Brian Daboll has been relieved of his duties. Assistant head coach / offensive coordinator Mike Kafka will serve as interim head coach. We spoke this morning about the direction of our franchise on the field, and we've decided at this time it's in our best interest to make a change at the head coaching position. President John Mara and Steve Tisch, chairman, said in a joint statement, the past few seasons have been nothing short of disappointing, and we've not met our expectations for this franchise. There's a playoff win in this time as well. We understand the frustrations of our fans, and we will work to deliver a significantly improved product. We appreciate Coach Daboll for his contributions to our organisation and wish the Daboll family all the best in the future. I just get into some I just thought it was just odd timing in terms of kind of where the Giants are. And I thought he was put in a bit of a tough situation in terms of, they're saying that from the reporting all that's coming out is that he had an edict that to stay he was going to have to win, but then he was going to also have to bring Jackson Dart along, and then couple that with the fact that Neighbors went down injured so early in the season.
Yep.
Your other bright light on offense, Scatterbo, season-ending injury.
Yep.
And actually, they've probably been a bit disappointing defensively, given, again, the players that they have on that defensive line. They've not been as good as maybe they could have been in terms of taking over games.
And the defensive players have publicly kind of called that out as well, of poor coaching and poor scheming, which isn't great. But that's not Brian Daboll's literal job.
He's the offensive guy, isn't he, on the side of the ball. And actually, Jackson Dart, and Scatterbo was as well, Jackson Dart has injected the Giants with some hope and some excitement that's been missing for so long. And I actually think he's been doing, apart from getting his brains bashed in, they've been doing a pretty good job with him in terms of keeping him coming along. And there's also a huge element of that is that's just how Jackson Dart plays, and it's real difficult to coach that out of people. And we see sometimes that you've got to learn the hard way. And hopefully,
and I think ultimately, like you said, that is who he is as well. Like,
it's part of the reason you drafted him.
Well, yeah, that's why you drafted him. But like we see it in to speak more to it in like a soccer sense of like these players who've got a reckless side and a wild side. Like Eric Cantona's a good one. Like he has this violent streak, but if you try and take that out, then you also lose the player. And I don't think Jackson Dart is ever going to be Aaron Rodgers. He's never going to drop back and pull you apart with his mind and his arm. It's just not him. So, yeah, would you like to see him be more cautious and conservative while still getting it done? Absolutely. But I'm not sure that's feasible. And this is, kind of, I give a slight defense to Mike McDaniel after Chris Greer got fired. Because, again, I've put a lot more of the woes on the Dolphins on Chris Greer's roster building over the last 10 years than I do Mike McDaniel. I think for the most part, I think he will lose his job, and I think he probably should. But I think the coaching is less of an issue than the roster. And I think that's very much the same in New York, where, you look at the roster and you're like, okay, it's got some good bits on paper, but it's got a lot of bad bits. That whole line, it's probably having its best year in years, but it's still a below average pack, especially it's so reliant on Andrew Thomas. So yeah, I do feel a bit for Daboll, but I think he'll get another chance somewhere because I think his play calling and his ability to develop a quarterback has been showing this year. So,
but he is 20-40-1 when you look at his record altogether. You can just take season by season. Obviously, that one good year at the beginning, and obviously all these fourth, quarter defeats as well. Obviously, there's this one, there's the Broncos one. I would say that is coaching. Like, if you get leads like they have done, and blow it like they have done, where it's just, it feels like when something goes wrong, it all goes wrong. And I think that sometimes a good coach can stop that, can like makes changes and whatnot. And if it happens once, fair enough. But the fact it's happened multiple times where they've had a hefty lead going into the fourth quarter and just can't stop it, and it feels like maybe it got a bit too big for him. So I think they should like clear shop. I'll be surprised if they keep the GM. I think if reportedly he's going to help with the coaching hire, but then there's also reports when he gets the off season they might get rid of him and start afresh, which I think like most teams should do that if you're going to get rid of the head coach. But I wonder if this defeat was just, if it wasn't like this kind of defeat where the Giants were up and it left in the loss, if the Bears were up and they came back and didn't quite make that comeback, if he would have kept his job, rather than how this happened, where it's like, again, it's happened like this. Where it's, and if, like I said, if the team's turning away, and I know you said like the defense is saying that, but also he's in charge of hiring and firing. If the defense is saying, oh, this scheme's not working, then Brian Dable should know that as well as a head coach. He's not just an offensive coordinator. He runs the organization, the head coach. So he should be able to be like, yeah, why is that not working? Let's hire the right people, because we give praise to people like Dan Campbell for bringing in his assistants. So we've got to do the opposite. If the assistants are not good, then that's on the head coach as well.
Absolutely. I thought it was because, again, if you know, in the kind of hand of cards you had going into this season, that you were going to be looking to bring obviously Jackson, a rookie quarterback, in and play a lot of time. You're hoping you got more out of Russ than you got, so I get that. But you had this horrible schedule that they've got, brutal schedule that, again, we mentioned a lot before the season started as to why we might see them might only win 2, 3, 4 games. And then what's happened during the season, I suppose you can't really count that, but those other two factors, if you were ever considering, well, we might get rid of him if it's going bad, why let him come into the season to begin with? Because you were planning to draft.
What were the chances they were going to be 6-4?
Yeah, like, well, you're 500 or whatever with that schedule, and then the difficulties at the battle. When I get teams that have to come over injuries, it's the specifics of who. It's your offensive playmaker, and then the second offensive playmaker that you found with a great value draft pick.
Yeah.
I just feel it's harsh on Dayball, but then I suppose, like I say, if it's at the fourth season and they're 2-8 again, there's only been one season where they've got past more than 2 wins at this point in the season for a long time. So I get that as well. It's very difficult starting again.
Yeah, and I'm not the biggest fan of his coaching as well, because when they were up 7, they got the ball first and goal on the 7. They managed to get all the way down for the 1 yard line on 4th and goal, and then they kicked it, and they got a penalty. So you just and it moves a little half an inch. They just go for it, kill that game.
Go for it, yeah.
Going for that field goal, and the next, even getting the field goal, they managed to stop the Bears on downs afterwards. But then, they only got touchdown after, straight away, and you went 3 and out. It's just like, just go for it, just win it. Your job's on the line. Is he going to be sitting there now thinking, if I'd gone for it, I may have still had a job because we could have punched that in. And even if they didn't punch it in, then he probably would have been fired anyway. So I think he coached a bit scared sometimes. And coming in, you expected him being coming from the Bills, that way of thinking with Josh Allen and 4th downs, just go for it. But overall, and then it's sometimes why not bring Winston in? Whenever Russ comes in, it feels like the game plan changes completely. It feels like, because I think they could use a similar game plan what they'd use for Jackson Dart. I know Wilson hasn't got the legs or anything, but he did scramble a few times. But it just feels like they just drop back and pass whenever it's Russ. It's like, why did they stop running the ball? It felt like they just stopped running the ball completely. And you play Russell Wilson, who all season is not played well dropping back. And then if you are going to throw it quite a lot, bring Winston in. Why not? And then he can actually chuck it down the field. So I think them kind of decisions goes against them well. And then on the flip side, the Bears keep winning these kind of games where the Bears used to be the Bears, but now they're different kind of Bears. They're actually letting them into the Bear Club again. Paddington and all them, letting them back in, saying, "Yeah, you guys are actually doing something good and representing the Bear community well with going 6-3." And how the season started, we wasn't looking that way. But still a weird team with Caleb, where some games I'm like, oh, what is he doing? And then he ends up going an absolute storm at the end. He's like, oh, that's why. Yeah,
I was going to say, even play to play, it's like, I don't know what I'm going to get. Like that, it wasn't a touchdown. DJ Moore didn't get his feet down in time.
Oh,
that
what
throw is insane. Like,
I've never seen a ball thrown harder.
Yeah, that
On
is
the
Josh
run.
Allen. Like, that is just Josh Allen. That's Andrew Luck. Like, that is quarterback at its highest level.
How is
And
it?
then 2 plays later, not specifically in this game, but like, you just don't know what's coming next. And if he can iron that out, then the Bears have got an all-pro level quarterback. But if they can't, then they've got Trevor Lawrence maybe. Like, and until we get there, I guess we don't know. I just wanted to shout out one kind of thing I found. We've talked about the Giants. On the Bears, obviously they're 6-3. They are the only NFC team with a playoff probability percentage between 80 and 15. You've got the Panthers and below at 12. You've got the Packers and above at 80. The Bears are 44%. Everyone else is either in or out already, basically, in the NFC.
Interesting.
It's wild. There's only 4 teams total in the NFL like that. Between 20 and 80%. You've got the Jags at 40, Steelers at 41, Baltimore at 64, the Bears at 44. This is per ESPN's playoff predictor. Everyone else is either above 80% or below 20.
Very interesting.
Wild. And yeah, Bears are only an NFC team.
Yeah, Bears won 6 of the last 7. Feels like really. So I don't know. I'm not ready to say that the Bears are a good team yet. I just know they are not a bad team. I think that's kind of where I'm at with the Bears at the minute. But one thing I was impressed I have been over the last couple of years, first to stick the boot in on Caleb in terms of pre-draft during his first season. What I was so impressed with, he picked up the team and put the team on his back today. I know they had a good rushing day, but kind of down that stretch, he picked them up and he put them on his back and he delivered victory for the Chicago Bears today. And we've not really seen that out of him. So I was really impressed in terms of, I thought he showed a lot of good leadership. He was tough today. He wasn't sacked, but he was under a lot of pressure from that New York Giants front. So I was really impressed with that. He took off with his legs, made smart decisions about when to go, and he committed to the rush. He went for 63 yards. Obviously, had the big one to score the touchdown that was ultimately the game winner. But I thought he had a really good day today, Caleb, in terms of a lot of the intangible stuff. So yeah, shout out Caleb, because I'm the first one to stick the boots in on him. But shout out, fair play when he's done a good job.
And on the howitzer note, the Bears have got the biggest differential between success rate, where they're 18th in the league, and yards per play, where they're 7th. They are explosive. I haven't seen updated numbers, but they were the most explosive team in the league going into this week. I don't imagine that's gone down this week either. So, yeah, Ben Johnson hasn't taken too long, only at week 10. I think he's got them cooking right now. We'll see as tougher tests come, but I think room for optimism in Chicago. Finally, it's due and it's justified.
Cool. Excellent. Let's start to pick up the pace then, guys. Let's move on to Joe, your spotlight and takeaway.
Yeah, Old McDonald has another win. EI, oh no, for opponents. NFL's best team wins again by blowing out the Cardinals, with Max Lawrence leading the charge with 2 defensive touchdowns, with Knight getting both the sacks. It was crazy that they did it in the first quarter and then they did it in the second quarter. This Seattle team's I had them as number 1 in my power rankings. I think they are the best team in the NFL, just all around, no matter which way, they're just good football team. I think that defense is certainly stepping up. Obviously, going up so big in the first quarter made this game a lot easier. Sam Darnold only threw 12 passes. He had 10 for 12, 1 TD, 1 interception. He fumbled a couple of times. I think that interception came off his own guy's helmet. I don't know if you saw that one. But yeah, so obviously you don't like to see that. But they were just so far in the lead, and the Cardinals would have to come back a long way. And I think they just absolutely destroyed Jacoby Brissett in that first pass. So I was more impressed with that, with the defense. They had 5 sacks, 10 tackles for losses, 10 pass deflections, 10 QB hits. They just absolutely annihilated this Cardinals. And, coming into this game, I've always, the Cardinals said, the first 3 quarters, they keep teams less than 7 points per quarter. And they stay in games. This Seattle team did not let them stay in the game. And if they're home, performances are starting to look like this, then it's like, watch out the rest of the NFC, because this is rounding into an awesome team. If just, like I mentioned, the Sam Darnold not passing, JSN had 93 yards, Cooper Kupp had 74, the next person had 5, so they didn't have to do much. Ran it 46 times, 198 yards. they just control this game and move on to that Rams game, which could be the game of the season next week. 4:05, which is a strange time slot for how big a game that is. But yeah, that's going to be a huge showdown, and I wouldn't be surprised if the Seahawks come out on top because they just do everything good. And adding Shaheed, didn't have to do too much. And he ran a couple of times as well. So it's once he starts getting up to scratch, it's going to be a scary team. And yeah, just overall domination. I thought the Cardinals made it a fight. Well, the fight could be a bit strong, but when they were coming back, it was like, oh, they're going to actually do something here. They were getting a few turnovers, starting to score touchdowns, but it was too far ahead. But shout out to Trey McBride, incredible still. I think there was like a stat up there where every game so far he's had 8+ receptions. And I don't think there's not many tight ends who have done that for that stretch of time. And I think it can continue, and it makes sense why they put Brissett in, because you can get to the main man, to McBride. So I think overall, yeah, dominant from Seattle. I think Cardinals are looking into next year to figure out what they're doing with Kyler and move forward. Because yeah. Oh, I do another shout out, Calais Campbell. How he's still, I think he's third now in appearances. And how he just keeps going. He had a few sacks and tackle for losses. He's just a man mountain. So shout out to him.
Love Calais Campbell. Just Byron on a quick note on how did the Cowboys lose the bye week? This is how the Cowboys lost the bye week. The Seattle just absolutely blew the doors off the Cardinals after the Cowboys got hammered by the Cardinals on Monday night football just 6 days beforehand. So that's why Cowboys lost the bye week. But yeah, that was really. I took Cardinals ATS thinking that whole thing, they've kept games close or whatever, but Seahawks just another level. NFC West best division in football. Yeah, incredible team. Any quick one on anything from you on this one, Byron?
No, I just think once Seattle got ahead, they just did exactly what they should, just dominated, and like you said, barely threw the ball. I think they had 2 pass attempts in the second half, just one in each quarter. TCOB, take care of business, and on to next week for Seattle.
Yeah. Very, very exciting game in LA against the Rams next week. Seahawks 7-2 and the Cardinals 3-6. Overreaction, weekly overreaction. Joe, we'll double up with you, and Byron, I think you've got a bit of an apology to give as well. But Joe, talk to us about your game first.
Yeah, I put Panthers. Toothless in home loss. Saints showing up after an impressive win last week and being in playoff contention, even though they did win our award for overrated team. Carolina laid egg at home, losing to the Saints 17-7. I think my overreaction is, do you think they're going to regret how many wins they've had this year? I know it's good to win, but depending where they're going to pick next year, because it's not really
the Saints, not the Panthers.
Team. The Panthers. Oh, well, technically both teams, but I think the Panthers the most, because I still don't think the Panthers are a great team. Bryson's been very up and down this year. It feels like the defense have made a step, but how bad the defense was last year, how they were diabolical. But they need to get more and more players to help help rebuild. And I think they're going to be a team that ends with like 7 or 8 wins. And is it going to be, we're going to come here next year and they're going to be 4 or 5 wins because they've not been able to do much? I think they're going to struggle bringing players in. I think that's an issue in Carolina as well, just because of what this squad looks like, what the outlook. I think obviously they lost out Milton Williams this year, and I think they might have that trouble as well, like bringing in big time free agency. And if they're drafting low, to try and build that perception of being, a team to go to actually contend. So that was my biggest overreaction. Those Panthers are just winning games they shouldn't do, losing games they should do, and it's just going to be a pointless middle of the road season.
2 factors, I think, for me in terms of kind of how this game happened for the Panthers. First of all, a couple of guys need to take a huge chunk of the blame for this loss to the Saints. The Meow Mix guy, just them threatening to come back last week after beating the Packers, and then backing off because they just got a lot of noise on X around Twitter and such around kind of what you're doing, jumping on the bandwagon, so to speak. You give up because you were losing, it was a chore, and now you've won 4 out of 5, you want to come back. This I read earlier is astonishing, and I think it's the tackle's name, Ike Ekwonu.
Yep.
Get that right? Yep. He cited a lack of preparation was the factor in a 17-7 loss. the quote is, we just weren't locked into the small details, and a couple of guys spoke about it. Coach spoke about it through the week. You can't get days back. If you have a tough day on Thursday, tough day Friday, or whatever, you can always look forward, but you can't get that day back. So that preparation or lack thereof is going to add up, and unfortunately, that cultivated to what we saw today. What in the recent history of the Carolina Panthers makes you think you can take anybody lightly, that you can fail to prepare for a game in the NFL?
I think it's kind of funny when these things come after, they went viral for having Keegan-Michael Key come virtually into training and into practice, into the meeting room, and explain the pump rule. It's all very cute and it's very funny. And then you get your butt whipped next week by the rudderless Saints, let's be fair. And you think, maybe use up on the pissing around because you've won a couple of games. You even got Meow Mix on side now, guys. You've got to put your foot to the ground here, and they just didn't. Not even Rico Dowdle could save them.
And 17-7 probably flattered them as well. I thought the Saints played really well and
Saints killed
a lot more points. Yeah. And when you just think about it, if they've won this game 6-4, we've got the Falcons next. If they've been that 7-4, and you got Saints, you got that 8 wins there. You've also got like the 49ers, the Rams, Bucks twice, and Seahawks. So these games, if you wanted to actually get into contention and possibly sneak in somehow, you had to win these kind of games. And I think, like you said, they took the foot off the gas after beating the Packers, which no one expected, and the offense just didn't show up again. Another, like I mentioned about Bryce Young, 17-25, only 125 yards, 1 interception. I think this is just the quarterback you're going to get. He's not going to be one of them top 10 kind of quarterbacks. He's going to have good games, he's going to have bad games, and he's going to be the middle of the road where is he the issue of why you're not getting to the playoffs? And there's quite a lot of them quarterbacks where teams, you have to stick with them because they're good enough. They're not bad enough to try and get someone else, and you pick near the top of the draft, but they're not good enough to get you to the playoffs year in, year out. You might get 1 year where they sneak in, but there's lots of like quarterbacks who are like this, like a Kyler Murray, let's say, where eventually you got to be like, oh, it's not quite working, but you've wasted how many years? So that's what just worried for the Panthers, that they haven't got their man and they're going to be picking, 17th, 18th, and how they're going to get better. But shout out to the Saints. Obviously, they didn't like. It's that awkward thing where you want to win, but you don't want to win. But I thought Tyler had a good game, and Chris Olave came back, and shout out to him. 5 catches, 104 yards.
And let's see the best of those catches from Chris Olave. The one-handed grab. If we can take the banner down. Cheers, Joe.
I mean, you want to talk about straight courage and understanding. Hey, you didn't stack on that little rail route. It's kind of like an out and up. You didn't stack the defensive back, so I'm going to throw it to your back shoulder and at least give you an opportunity to go make a play. What a play by Olave.
Incredible catch, right? Because I have a pretty good throw. Imagine to make that catch while having one hand pinned by the DB as well. It's always great to see Chris Olave in fine form. And Tyler Shutt, I thought he had a great game, really did. And not just because the Saints won, he so numbers-wise, I thought he was very impressive. He was 19 for 27, 282 and 2 touchdowns. He was where the Saints won this game was on 3rd down on offense. He was incredible. I've got the numbers somewhere because of how good he was on 3rd down. Where is it? Why
are you looking at? I was going. You go for them, Paul.
Yeah, so Shuck was 7 of 10 for 201 yards on 3rd down, and both his touchdowns came on 3rd down as well. He just diced apart the Panthers on 3rd down. Worrying the last couple of weeks when he came in and then against the Rams, but obviously that's a tough start to life.
Yeah.
He had a really good game here, and obviously he's not going to get it as easy as the Panthers defense each week, but a lot of hope for the people of New Orleans and Saints fans and Tyler Shuck based off this performance. Sorry, Joe.
What I was going to say is, though, is he really going to be the quarterback of the future? Do you want him to have these like good games to finish like near the top of the draft pick? It was like, oh, we're not going to choose a QB because we think we've got our quarterback for the future, Tyler Shuck, and then it's just like, okay.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because again, I've mentioned where it's come up, subjects come up a little bit. I think 2026 is going to be another bad year for quarterbacks. I really do. Like all the ones that we're expecting to kind of be solid first round, top of the first round, they've all had nightmare years in college, like disastrous years. Whereas,
because 27's plan is supposed to be good, isn't it?
Can I ask what? I don't know his first name. Mendoza
from Indiana. But
is he a guy?
he's playing very well for Indiana. Had probably his Heisman moment at the at the end of the game, Penn State. Right now, I think he will probably go in the first round because they're going to finish off quite strong.
So he's going to be QB1, and everyone else is really question
Possibly
marks.
he's QB1, but I don't know if he was on the board to get drafted in September.
I've heard. I just saw like
that's the jump in terms of he has been good, but the rest have been really poor, or a lot of them have been poor. So I think that we're in a Cam Ward situation again, which
and I did see like an article like is either Johnny Manziel 2.0, where it's come from nowhere, the hype and everything, and then doesn't work out in there.
Yeah, because he's only just transferred to that school this year, I think, as well. I think I might be wrong on that, but I just. So the Saints might be in a good position in terms of actually, well, they spent a second round pick on Chuck. He gets next year, depending where they fall, they then try and attack 2027. That's when likely, if they are waiting for somebody, if Arch has a good year, and he's got the name, of course, does he end up going towards the top of the first round in 2027? Not based on this year, but he's getting better. So we'll see. But and look, he's just got to Chuck's just got to keep taking advantage of the opportunities while he's playing, and he did that yesterday. He did that on Sunday, and we'll see if he can do it moving forward. Byron,
Tomlin sanity, or just a mediocre team doing mediocre things? 1 week on, and the Steelers look back to their worst. Rodgers is washed. The D's back to square one. What is the plan? Is there a hot butt in Pittsburgh? That being Mike Tomlin's hot, smoky butt. Who knows? I just don't know how you can have much faith in Pittsburgh. It's 1 week, we're back to normal, and we're dominating the definition of a trap. Yeah, I took it on my ATS. We all took it. Sorry, I took it on my fourfold. We all took it ATS. Chargers 25, Steelers 10. I realized I didn't actually mention the score. But Rodgers was horrendous. His lowest completion percentage in over 5 years, 51.6%. I think it's his 8th worst game all time, completion percentage-wise. His yards per attempt, and passer rating have gone down each of the last 4 weeks. The guy's cooked, and there's no future. Get him out, put Will Howard in. You're doing nothing this year. But we know what Steelers will do. They'll just keep fighting to try and get 9-8, get a playoff loss on the record, and probably just go through the exact same cycle next year. So I've just got a lot of these Rodgers little stats, so I'm just going to fight through them. Rodgers 30th of 33 qualifying quarterbacks in drop-back success rate through 10 weeks. Their offense doesn't work. The only thing that works is Darnell Washington as a 6'4" lineman and Jalen Warren running to his side. And occasionally DK Metcalf gets to yak the fuck out of the game. Rodgers can't throw the ball deep. Rodgers is scared of getting hit. He's just grounding balls rather than taking a sack. Their offense is broken. The defense doesn't do it anywhere near enough. And shout out Justin Herbert getting rid of the ball quickly because, again, very much needed with, who he's working with on his offensive line. We thought that would be the killer part of the game. Charlie agrees, obviously. I'm going to try and talk over him. I don't know if you guys watch the broadcast of Sunday Night Football, but, they do the intro, and because it's Collinsworth, they have the PFF grade. So you had Bradley Bozeman, center, ranked 36 out of 36. You had Trey Pipkins, right tackle, ranked 35 out of 36. You had Mickey Becton, ranked 36 out of 37, right guard. And you had Austin DeCoulis, left tackle, ranked 38 out of 38. And yet the Steelers barely got any pressure, or not barely any, but certainly not enough to impact the game. And they're going up against what might as well be us three or the Cool Runnings gang, just a bunch of nobodies in the line, and Justin Herbert getting the ball out quickly. Kamani Vidal able to run on them. Lad McConkey looking special again. What is the future and what is the current in Pittsburgh? Is there any hope for this team being a legitimate contender anytime soon?
No, I can't. It's tough, isn't it? It's just the cycle, isn't it, of going round and round. And
They feels like the Bengals next week, which helps. I think, in terms of Rodgers, I was laughing when you were talking about that because, you mentioned, he was very Steelers to have a disaster this week, and then they have to blow the doors off the Bengals next week, and then they beat the Bears, and we're like, oh, the Steelers are here again, 7-4, and blah blah blah. But if you can't do it against the Bengals next week, then that is even more of a worry because
that'll be the Bengals have the sweep over them as well because they beat them earlier in the season with Flacco.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to call his shot now. It's probably not much of a shot. Ravens, Steelers, Week 18s for the division. That's Sunday Night Football for the division.
It might not be.
I'm going to call it now.
The Ravens only one game back. Yeah,
I know
Ravens
they're
only
only
one
5
game
down,
back.
but
yeah, I think the Ravens will have it sealed by then.
They've got to play each other twice. Obviously, once in Week 14 and once in Week 18. Actually, Sunday Night Football game for the AFC North. Week 18, the final regular season game, final regular. And you know what? I think it probably is going to be as well.
Aaron Rodgers' last game as
winning,
well.
you're in.
Oh.
Winning, you're in. Like it'd be you win the division or you're out on the outside looking in. I think maybe the loser ain't going to get a wild card spot to make it an even bigger game. So yeah, I don't know. I just feel like the Steelers are going to pick up enough wins. I'm trying to think when that next game is. Is it the Bills in Week 13? But I don't know. Maybe the Bills aren't as formidable as we think they are or were. Where they go, oh, this is they're going to be a home. They'll be a home underdog. Is that a game that they then win? Of course it is. And then they've got the Ravens the week after. And yeah, so I think they'll be there. They'll be on 9 wins by Week 18. And then can they get the 10th and win the division against the Ravens? I think that's where this is going.
Yeah,
I just want to give
Sorry, go ahead, Joe.
I was going to say I was going to give a shout out to Khalil Mack, where he's now joined Hall of Famer Kevin Green as the only player since 1982 to have 35 sacks for 3 different teams. Obviously, Raiders, Bears, and now Chargers. So Mac still doing what he does.
Excellent. Good stuff. Right, yo. Overreaction, me. Texans 36. The Jaguars 29. Joe does not want to hear about this game. Jags jerked around and found out. Blow 19-point lead. Texans roar back in the fourth quarter with 26 answered points. Jaguars failed to take advantage of special teams gaff and backup quarterback to drop 3 of their last 4 games. Talked about the Jags last week, even on the back of a win. Even on the back of a win and in the preview round. I really felt the Texans could beat them here. I did not think this was going to be the way that it happened. I thought it was going to be Texans defense stifle them, low scoring game, and the Texans sneak a win. Not quite what happened, because the Texans did everything to give the game to the Jacksonville Jaguars in the first part of the game, the first quarter, with 2 terrible special teams gaffes. Jags couldn't take full advantage of it, but did kind of build a 3-score lead. They were 19 ahead going into the fourth quarter and 3 scores ahead for the majority of the game. Couldn't kill it off, and then could not stop Davis Mills, which that in itself. Yeah, exactly. It is laughable. I thought he'd do enough to win a game. I didn't expect him to throw for nearly 300 yards and have to throw the ball 45 times. But the Jacksonville Jaguars allowed that to happen. So many problems with the Jacksonville Jaguars. This team, 4-1 after that Chiefs game.
Yeah.
I would say, a lot of hope for them. They can be a player. And they have just been awful since. And even in that win against the Raiders, they were so lucky to come out of that game against the Raiders in overtime last week with a win. I thought, that could have been 4 straight losses. They're an absolute mess. And I know they've got injury problems, but everyone has to deal with them. They're a joke, really are. Trevor Lawrence, you just go from, extremes of. He looks good to he looks awful. This is one we talked about Caleb before. This is one Trevor Lawrence needed to put his team on his back and just kill the Texans. And I know the defense.
Can I give you some stats on that note?
Go for it, Byron.
After the Jags went 29-10 up, Trevor Lawrence had 6 dropbacks. He was pressured on every single one of them and sacked 3 times. He had 2 scrambles, 24 yards, and a pass that was batted at the line of scrimmage. Not all his fault. If you're getting pressure on every player, not a huge amount you can do. But between him and the play calling, scheme up some quick hitters for him, scheme up some, man beaters, rush beaters, maybe some play action in there. I can't believe, and I've been frustrated with the Jags a lot because I had a lot of faith in them coming into this season. I think Trevor Lawrence is maybe on the out with Cohen and Gladstone. I think they might even transition in season and just throw Nick Mullins out there and just say, you know what, at least he'll do what we tell him to.
That's an overreaction. I'll be shocked if that happened. That'd be shocked.
You'll see enough of Nick Mullins.
Yeah.
Mullins isn't great, but you see Liam Cohen on the sideline when Lawrence just does these things and you think, This is a guy who I think might end up murdering his quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, I've never been a huge Trevor Lawrence fan. Like, I think I started bringing it up last year that he gets away with a lot of stuff because he was that number one, the savior, everybody wanted him. Like, the Jags have walked into the perfect scenario to get him number one. And he just hasn't really, he's had like one or two, I wouldn't say great seasons, good seasons where he's certainly worked out. But, and I said in the preview, so when the Jags -1.5, and when ETN got that touchdown, 11 plays, nearly 6 minutes, I was like, oh, happy days, 19 points up. This is comfortable.
Gosh,
It just lets teams in all the time. And like a big thing was like just before halftime, they were just like rolling down the field, and he got that interception where you just like, you can't throw that kind of throw. And even like the fumble at the end, obviously he was unlucky. He got that catch. They got the yard probably for Cam Little long field goal, but he got brought back because of hands to the face. But it's also things like your players are covered on the sidelines, throw it away, like live to have one more play. But he just like loves to hold onto the ball. I know you mentioned he got pressure quite a lot, but he loves to hold onto the ball sometimes. He's just throw it away, just get rid of it. Like you don't have to play hero ball all the time. And you look at the fourth quarter, he was just 3 players. 3 players -4 yards, 3 players 6 yards, 3 players -1 a fumble. It was just not good enough. And the Jags, and I think what hurt as well is that the Jags defense was on the field so much in that fourth quarter where they couldn't get off the field, and they needed the offense just have 5-minute kind of play, let them rest, and they just couldn't. And vice versa. There was Mills, you got to give it up to. There was a few times he was on the 4th down, and I thought, oh yeah, happy days. He's not going to make that, and he just made these big throws, and he just. What did they get down to? They got it down to the 2-yard line, 1st and goal, and then they somehow end up back on 2nd and 14, like doing Texans things, and the Jags just couldn't stop him, reaching over the goal line. Disappointing. And even when the fucked up the 2-point by just falling over, doing Trevor Lawrence, but not being able to get back up. I was like, come on, Cam Little, record-breaking field goal, and I think what says a lot about the Jags and Trevor Lawrence. I had no confidence that they were going to get them yards.
Yeah,
when it's someone like Patrick Mahomes, but like Josh Allen, like them kind of quarterbacks,
or somebody,
where they're the top 10, where you thought Trevor could be, you're like, oh, that defense is not going to stop them, like no matter what. And I did not feel that way with the Jags whatsoever.
Gave us a great ending though, didn't they? The Sheldon Rankins, well, I think it's ruled as a fumble, but it was thick 6 or whatever you want to call it. Incredible way to end it. But yeah, this sums it up. The Jags had 11 yards of total offense in the fourth quarter to the Texans 167. And that I see that kind of sums it up how dominant the Texans were. Davis Mills sort of flipped on his. It was like a Tim Tebow switch of where he just suddenly came alive in the fourth quarter of that kind of Tebow mania run sort of thing. But it was Tebow time, but it was Davis Mills. And you know what? The Texans saved the season. They go 3-6. It's done completely. They've saved the season. An incredible comeback. And again, that defense can win you games. You're probably not going to need to score 36 too often to win games. But the defense is, you just don't want to give teams, special teams, plays and head starts. But Texans alive in terms of a wild card for the AFC. Jags, big trouble. Big trouble for the Jaguars.
I know you said, Joe, not many people. Sorry, you go ahead.
I was going to say, did you see Liam Cohen slamming his stuff down at full time?
Furious, yeah.
Yeah, like I said, Nick Mullins is going to be there soon. You say not many people are, into Trevor Lawrence nowadays. Do you know who's a big fan of Trevor Lawrence? Davis Mills. That's right. Davis Mills is 6-19-1 as a starter. These are the quarterbacks he's beat. Justin Herbert. Whoa, fucking hell! What are you doing? He's the outstander here. Malik Willis in Tennessee. Sam Ellinger in Indianapolis. And there's 3 more games, and they are Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor Lawrence. 50% of his career wins have been against Trevor Lawrence.
Oh dear.
Not great.
Battle of the neck. See, he comes out top.
Neck beats hair always.
Yeah.
Not my best chat line, but it certainly works.
Nico Collins, dear God, family show. Nico Collins had his 5th consecutive 100-yard plus receiving game against the Jaguars as well. So a big part of that probably is Nico Collins.
And Dalton Schultz, my man.
Schultz as well, yes. We'll get to our winning bets soon enough. That was our weekly overreaction. Lot to talk about, so we've ran a bit long, but we'll get into our fourfold. Obviously, just on that note, Joe, that game killed your fourfold. You went 3-1. Your favourite was the Jacksonville Jaguars, 1.5-point favourites. They weren't favourites at kickoff. It had flipped. The Texans were 1-point favourites.
Do you know what the worst thing is? You know the worst thing is, like, with like the third quarter, I was like, well, I've got that Jags game. I've definitely got one, and then I'm sweating about the other games, and I'm just like, you know, I only got the Patriots Bucks because Henderson scored that touchdown and Baker went all the way down. So when that happened, and then with the battle, I was like, okay, I've won it, and I just need the Jags to hold on, and they were like 8 minutes behind everyone else as well, which made it even worse. So.
Yeah, rough. But you did go 3-1, so you're catching Byron up in terms of the fourfold challenge to be the winner. But it's, you know, this is not necessarily you want to win; it's you don't want to lose. That's where I currently am at the minute, and we'll be doing a yet to be determined forfeit. We should announce, actually, we should say what forfeits we're going to do, because I think we'll probably do a slightly different one each next week, maybe during the preview. I've got 2 in mind, but yeah, we'll should probably announce that. But Joe, your under hit, it was Ravens Vikings 27-19, 8-point game, but I felt like the Ravens absolutely hammered them. It kind of got out of hand in the second half. Obviously, the Ravens had a lot of territory, and they were able to move the ball, just 4 field goals in the first half, but they were able to kind of put it in the end zone in the second. And the Ravens, you know, is it 3 in a row? I think they're starting to look a bit dangerous.
Yeah, I don't think they're the full flight Ravens of like week 1 against the Bills and what we expected them to come in. They're not. I don't think the blue, like, I think the defense is stepping up. I think that's the most important part. The offense is not. It's you know, it's better than it was, a lot better. But they were playing a good Vikings team, and yeah, it's not like they only had, you know, they got did they even score? They only scored field goals really in the
they did 4
in the first in the first half. The first 4 was field goals, and they finally got a touchdown. That was because of a fumble from a kickoff. So there's still that to worry about. There's this offense. You just think there's so much more, especially what we saw at the start of the year in the first 2 weeks. So I think Lamar's still coming back. So they're impressive. The Vikings, on the other hand, it just feels like McCarthy's great when he's scripted at the beginning. It looks incredible. Yeah. Like, it keeps like that. The touchdown drive, 7 plays, 86 yards, start the game. You're like, oh, okay, this Vikings team is JJ McCarthy. Is it something else? And then they went punt, field goal, interception, punt, end of half, and then another interception, fumble, downs, field goal. It just felt like bad. Even that touchdown at the end to make it to 8 points. There was a few. It looked like there was an interception, but it was reversed, and I think there was a big pass to Naylor where I think it was Wiggins was complaining while he was chasing after him. You're like, carry on chasing after him, mate. Just don't just stop. Don't just stop halfway between the play. So and that made my nerves a bit with the under. So I think the Ravens deserved it. And yeah, it's a worry for JJ that it feels like when he's scripted it's good, but when it's the decisions on him, it's not looking great.
Yeah, Ravens defense just that point since their bye weeks. That was after the game against the Rams. So in the 3 games since their bye week, only allowed 3 touchdowns, forced 10 turnovers, 21 quarterback hits, 13.5 points per game they've given up. Feels like it's going to be big for him down the stretch. We had like a moment where the defense clicked last year, wasn't it, when they moved kind of Kyle Hamilton around? I don't know if we feel like we've had that moment where they're playing an awful lot better. So under 49, that hit, your Jags is the favourites, as we've just talked about. Browns at Jets. You had the Jets as your underdog. And the New York Jets haven't lost a game for like 3 calendar weeks now. Back-to-back wins for the Jets.
Yeah, that's why I picked him. I was surprised that they were the. I'm guessing it's because of the trade. Yeah, I thought there was like there must be like a trade bump kind of phrase where they lose all the best players and they turn up. Obviously, it helps scoring back-to-back kick returns, one from kickoff and then one from a punt, which was incredible. especially when they went 7-0 down. The Browns went 9 plays, 95 yards, and I was like, oh crap, this may have been a terrible pick. But getting them 2 touchdowns just settled the nerves. Justin Field might be maybe the biggest. I think it's finally the experiment of Justin Field as an NFL quarterback might be finished. I think he had ridiculous negative yards again for most of this game in terms of total passing yards. It wasn't good that way. Breece Hall, who didn't get traded, had a great game. He had a few big long rushes to help them out and just to seal the win at the end. I think it's just 2 bad teams, and the Jets managed to come out on top with special teams.
Yeah, I kind of made the claim that this Browns defense doesn't travel, but it will do for this one, and it did because, like I say, it gave up 27 points, but they only gave up 13 of them because of the 2 bloody touchdowns. First time the Jets have had a kickoff and punt return for a touchdown in the same game, franchise history. It was a disaster. I mean, I think at one point we were in negative. They were negative pass yards, weren't they? Again, the Jets for quite a long period of time, just because how many times
Justin Field must be at the top of that list. There must be so many Justin Field games. It feels like that's like his main stat is negative passing yards in games. Feels like it's most weeks for the Jets. I think he has 42 yards. I think he was one of the worst. I think it's the worst Jets one since 1970s. I heard or something crazy like that. It's but they've won the last 2, and the Jets are back.
Don't quite know about back, but Browns 2-7, Jets 2-7, and then you had over in Patriots Bucks. So 3-1 for you, Joe. Byron already talked about your underdog, Pittsburgh Steelers. Beaten. You had the under in Saints Panthers, and then you had the Buffalo Bills as your favorite. Play it on the moon, play it on Mars. The Bills will hammer the Dolphins. I think it was something like that. The quote, I think.
Who was that by? Is that Rex Ryan or something gobshiting on ESPN?
Not quite, but good gobshite to model yourself after. But no, it was you, and we clipped that out in the preview from the preview. So Dolphins 30, Bills 13. I've not seen the Buffalo Bills this bad for years. Years since they've put in a performance this bad. Yeah,
pre-Josh Allen, certainly. Who had 306 yards, but it really felt like empty calorie yards. They didn't score until the 4th quarter, the Bills, in fact. The third quarter, it was absolutely scoreless throughout the first 3 quarters. Devon Achane had a fun day, 22 attempts, 174. Jalen Waddle, 84 yards through the air. And we talked after the Chiefs victory that, I think this is a Patrick Mahomes Chiefs-specific game plan to shut them down defensively. I don't know how much it'll carry the rest of the season because I'd concerned about the Bills' defense, and then come recording, I was like, the Bills are just going to whoop them. This is an easy matchup here with all the defensive problems the Dolphins have had. And, couldn't have been more wrong. I mean, I think this is one, never mind the moon, Mars, or Florida. They could have played this one in New York, and I think the Dolphins would have won as well. So credit to them. I'm really pleased with Mike McDaniel, to be fair. Rough old season. He's taken a pounding, and I think nice for them to have a good day, the Dolphins. It's been a really rough year. Get a big win. Not going to help the draft capital, but, these are competitors and they want to win games. Mike McDaniel wanted to hold on to his job. I thought Patrick Paul, the Dolphins tackle, had probably the best game of his career yesterday. So Chris Greer is gone, but finally made a good draft pick in his last years, finally. And we'll see with the Bills what they've got coming up, because it's hard to feel much confidence in them right now, isn't it?
I would say the Bills had a lot of injuries on defense when you actually look at how many people are actually out for this game. So you're like, okay, I can understand that. They weren't a great defense to start with, but when you have all them injuries, it's more like the offense just, when I heard someone say, "Oh, Josh Palmer's out," well, if you're worried that Josh Palmer's out and that's going to affect your offense that much, that's what we're worried about. Obviously, they were big on getting Jalen Waddle. It came out the reports, and they're just missing that wide receiver. And it just felt like they killed themselves every time. They were like, it was like 16-0 down. It was like, oh, they just get and they get that touchdown, and then Josh Allen fumbles, and then someone else fumbles after like a big run, and it just felt like they shot themselves in the foot. Throughout the game. So I was more worried about the offense, surprisingly. Then the defense I've been worried about all year, and having all the injuries they did, it's like, okay, that makes sense. But not looking good. And is it going to be one of them where it's like Josh Allen only plays well against big teams, it's like we mentioned it last week. That he steps up at that, and then the player like, oh, we're just playing the Dolphins and don't show up.
Yeah, it's the opposite of a flat track bully.
Yeah, bad day for the Bills. And I would the rookie first round quarterback, his name's Hairston.
Maxwell Hairston, yeah.
Hairston got bullied by Jalen Waddle. Like, he needed help, they didn't give it him, and they just kept going to Jalen Waddle. This might be my favorite head coach piece of the season. I don't know if you saw, and he's kind of neither confirmed nor denied it in today's press conference, Mike McDaniel went down and drove past the bar that Bills Mafia tend to gather at when they play at Miami, drove past his Bentley and was trolling them after the game yesterday. It's clearly him. He said his press conference earlier when asked about it, he said, I mean, I live in that area. AI is real. That's all I've got for you. Brilliant.
And the length of his trousers was fine?
You couldn't see in the Bentley,
Okay.
to be fair, but I assume not. I assume they were even shorter after a win.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, roll those fuckers up.
But you know what? Fair play for our other season. It's been a bit of fun. And I'm sure Bills Mafia took it in good, natured and good spirit.
I'm sure he'll be going through a table if they get their hands on him.
Yeah, clip was hilarious. Cool. That was you, Baron. You're 2-1 and waiting on Monday Night Football. So your Eagles, Packers for your over. I'm also waiting on Eagles, Packers for the Eagles because they're my underdog. I had the Detroit Lions as my favorite. They delivered. We talked about in the preview that off the back of a loss, they tend to kill teams and cover the spread by 12 plus points more than what the actual spread is. And they kind of did that. They won by 22, didn't they? 44-22. Just interesting what Dan Campbell seemed to get involved in the offensive play calling. I don't know if you saw that. He seemed to be involved, which it seems a bit messy. Dan Quinn also got involved for the Commanders from a defensive point of view, calling the defense at times. All feels a bit messy.
DQ is taking over as defensive coordinator, he has said.
Yeah,
they've lost their last 4 games by 21 plus points. The first team to do so since the 2002 Cardinals.
Yeah, bad vibes from the Commanders, I'm getting. So I was tough, and obviously Jaden Daniels' injury was horrible, and you've stopped starting Mariota Daniels because of injury. And they're a real bad vibes. They might be taking over the Dolphins as kind of the bad vibes team.
Yep.
I wonder if because they came in with such high expectations, and then it's just gone. It's been a bit of a disaster, really, when you think about because they're all like veterans, they're all like an old team. It's not like we'll build for next year. It's a bit like most of these players will be gone next year, so it's back to the drawing board.
5-second sequence where the 2D linemen, one of them just tries to knock out Amon-Ra St. Brown. You see it. We've not got the clip, but I think he's paid. They're on pain. Amon-Ra's just walking past him. I don't know if there's some variables, but he turns around, kind of completely turns around and takes a full swing. Obviously, you punch in a helmet, so you're a fucking idiot. And then within 5 seconds, someone another D lineman puts their hands on an official.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly if it stacks, but it was not long after Amon-Ra St. Brown was doing the Trump dance in the end zone. So maybe Deron Payne is just a woke lefty. If so, shout out Deron Payne. Welcome to the club. And speaking of which, Donald Trump was in attendance at this game. Got booed heavily. He was also in the booth. And he was the first president to attend a regular season game since the 2nd of October, 1978. Jimmy Carter attended Cowboys at Washington, a game that ended 5-9. Not Dolly Parton, not quite.
5-9? What bizarre. That's a score of Garvey, surely.
I would think so, yeah. There was 3 Washington field goals, a Cowboys field goal, and a Cowboys safety. No touchdowns. And that was Jimmy Carter in attendance, 2nd of October, 1978. But I want to know is, in the UK, what were we bopping along to? What was the UK number 1 on?
Number 1.
October 78.
2nd October, 1978. I'll give you a little clue. This song was number 1 for 7 weeks. We're in the middle of its run here, from 16th of September 78 through to 20th of January 79.
That doesn't help. Joe, any guesses?
ABBA, Waterloo.
That's incorrect.
Close in terms of like the vibe, or
kind of, yeah. Not a million miles away. I'll give you another clue. This song was from a movie, and the movie was the number one movie in America at this time. We don't have the stats for the UK week by week in 1978, unfortunately.
78. Is Grease 78?
It certainly is. So what's the number one?
Oh no.
Summer Lovin'?
Happened so fast. He slid in there. He's got it right.
There you go.
Bang, bang. It's Summer Night, but yeah, Summer Lovin' by John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John.
Good teamwork there, Joe.
Yeah, there you go.
Excellent. What a pull. Excellent. Right. Anyway, Lions rolling 6-3. Commanders dead 3-7. Just bad vibes for Washington. And Traylon Burks was our leading receiver. There you go. I had Giants Bears over, which didn't hit. I also didn't know it was going to be a fucking snow game. Falcons Colts under, which was insane. It didn't hit given the pace of that game was going at. And then waiting on the Eagles. I guess from British Irish Eagles had a bit, rough going as well. 1-3 in the end. So the Colts is favourite -6.5. They won by 6. Vikings +4, which was, lost to the Ravens by 9-8 or whatever it was. He had over in Bills Dolphins, which didn't hit, and then under in Saints Panthers, which did. So 1-3. So just keeping in touch in distance of the guests, so I can pull to just one behind them. After Monday Night Football, Byron, you currently have a 1-game lead over Joe, but of course still have 1 pick to go this week. We've only got 2 games to talk about them from an ATS perspective. Again, it looks like, I said we're all going to have losing weeks. I can get to 500, 7-7, but Byron and Joe both 5-8 heading into Monday Night Football. Thursday Night Football, what a rancid game. Broncos 10, Raiders 7. Charlie's run ends, although I want to defend him. I think he took the Raiders if you look at the video. Byron, you made, I don't know what it was, like a judge's call. I was ready to lump on Raiders +9. Oh, well, you were chewing it.
He put it in his mouth and then spat it back out without chewing it.
I think that's been the call for the Raiders, because I was ready to go Raiders +9.
Well, you can't blame a dog for your failings, mate.
Well, that's exactly right. Well, no, I'm blaming you. I'm blaming the dog. The dog made his choice.
Stop having a go at Charlie. He's doing his best, mate.
No blame attached to Charlie here.
He's doing his best. He's a little dog. I think this is cruel.
He's a little dog. I appreciate you just saying that. So Cindy hears one side of the conversation, even though clearly
I'm not going to have Charlie put down because Charlie. You failed your pick, mate. No, it's not happening.
Quick one.
I'm going to have Charlie pick a game Thursday, and I'm going to love him regardless, mate. So,
quick one on dog notes. I'm sure you've seen or heard. Thoughts on Brady cloning his dog?
Insane.
Not surprised. Yeah. Not surprised.
Yeah. Feel like
also not surprised. Yeah.
Is this a dry run for him cloning himself? Is this one?
Well, I was wondering out loud, and maybe I shouldn't have been last week. Are we going to see maybe the Brock Bowers, Aaron Hernandez tight end room next year?
Jesus Christ.
In Vegas. Brady just, bringing back the old gang.
Anyway, I think our message for good teams and great teams is adopt, don't clone. I think that's good. It's a good tagline to get behind. Adopt, don't clone. Don't adopt the deceased body of Aaron Hernandez. Anyway, the Broncos, Raiders. What an awful putrid game this one. Broncos are supposed to just find a way again to win, despite kind of Bo Nix turnovers, and it was just a mess all around, wasn't it? Really, this game. Anything to take away from it for the Broncos, or just kind of live to fight another day?
Yeah, I do worry about them in the long run, but they keep winning. So once they get picked up, then I'll do.
I mentioned Davis Mills. Bo Nix is giving me very Tim Tebow vibes because he only seems to come alive in the fourth quarter at the minute.
Yeah, he's not convincing.
We'll see. They move on, but 8-2. So again, in the mix with the Patriots and the Colts for top of the AFC. We're all on the Broncos, unsurprisingly. I just me on the Falcons. I'm so glad I flipped to go +6.5 and cash out for a slight loss at 5.5 because the Colts won by 6, as predicted on the preview that was going to happen. Just Joe, the New York Giants, who covered the 4.5 despite losing to the Chicago Bears. All of us were on the Bills. Me and Joe on the Ravens. Joe and Barry on the Jets. Baron flying solo on the Patriots. I can't believe, Joe, the game that we've left to talk to you last. Just me on the Saints and me on the Texans. Two plus winners there. You two on the Seahawks. I feel very foolish about having the Cardinals. Joe, can't believe we've not talked about this game. You usually bring the 49ers game to talk to us about, but it was Rams 42, 49ers 26. We've talked about, are the Seahawks the best team in the NFC? Are they that much further ahead than the LA Rams? Because the Rams look
No.
The Niners have just a rough day.
No, I think it's going to be close. That's why I can't wait for next week game. I think they're the best 2 teams in the NFL, probably definitely NFC. So it'll be interesting. I think what I just like about Seattle, I think their defense contains a little bit more. Well, I feel like the 49ers still had the way with the Rams most of the game, but a few drops, which were crucial, like a few fumbles and then an interception, just killed the game. But what the Rams do have, but the Seattle doesn't, it feels like if they just want to score points and just turn it on, it just feels so easy for them. Obviously, playing against a Niners putrid defense, it's a bit hashtag putrid, just so injured defense where they just cannot generate any pass rush. They've just got nothing, so Stafford was able to sit back and just pick them apart. But yeah, with Puka, when red zone, you may as well just bet on Adams to score a touchdown because that's all he does. It's incredible. And the run game got going as well. That's why I had a few bets on Kyle Williams and went with him. And a few others in fantasy just because I thought he would have a big game. And Corbin did as well. Yeah, I wasn't surprised at this loss, to be honest. I think 49ers are where they should be and Rams are where they are as well. So I think they're the clear 2 best teams in the NFC West. It's a shame if the 49ers had managed to not have the injury luck compared to other teams if they were like Seattle and Rams. If they had Warner, Bosa, and all them on defense, I think they would have obviously been a lot closer and it would be more interesting. I just think they've had too many injuries, so it was just one of them games where, it's building for next year.
Yeah, you mentioned Devontae Adams. He's 6 touchdowns in his last 3 games. He has cashed his over 8.5 touchdowns prop line for the start of the season already. 10 weeks in. Incredible.
Can we just give a quick shout out to Matthew Stafford as well?
Yeah, always.
I know he's your MVP pick. He's playing like an MVP, playing incredible. 4 touchdowns, no interceptions in 3 straight games. First player to ever do so. And how about this? Matthew Stafford is 500 in his career. He is 115, and 1. He's finally at 500 after 231 games. That is the latest any quarterback has ever got to reaching 500. Shout out Matthew Stafford. He's finally overcome the Detroit Lions.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That is unreal. He's on pace for 47 touchdowns, I think.
Yeah, I think 47 and 4.
Something like that. Yeah. 47 touchdowns and 4. 4 interceptions.
I tell you, whoever produces them
yards.
Immortal Chambers is going to be getting business this summer.
Yeah, for sure.
This is what it does to you.
Yeah, incredible stuff from Matthew Stafford. I just think it's having Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua probably is what it is. Excellent. That was the last game to talk about. Shall we just do a quick roundup of our bets before we cover off our winning fantasy game day team and touch on Thursday night football? Productive week again for the good teams win, great teams cover crew. 13 winning bets so far before Monday night football. Could we do a clean sweep and get to 19? Probably not, but can we get a few more winners, hopefully. Joe, we'll start with you. You gave us Baker and Drake May, 250 plus passing yards each at 2-1 in Patriots Bucks. Good cash. Sunday night football, Vidal and McConkey, anytime touchdown, 22-5. So it's that 4 and a bit to 1, just short of 5-1. Bills, Dolphins under 50, which I also gave you. Excited about that as well. I also gave you Ravens -4, Lions -8, Falcons +6.5 eventually, and Drake London 6+ receptions and 8+ receiving yards. Byron gave you a Bo Nix interception at 51-50, the strangest number I've seen in a long while for an odds line.
DraftKings do such weird numbers.
Yeah, 50-51 for Thursday Night Football. Trayvon Henderson, the biggest cash of the week, 100+ rushing yards at 16-1. Rams over 32.5 points, 9-5. Lions over 34.5 points, 11-5. And Dalton Schultz, 7+ receptions for the Houston Texans at 21-4. So just a touch over 5-1. Don't think I've missed any out of there. Those are all the winners.
I just missed the my anytime touchdown 57-1. Just needed the only Lions playmaker not to get a touchdown was Laporta, which was I was going to put Jameson as well. That's the last thing. And also both QBs throw a touchdown. Because Sauce Gardner just learned to catch. Just makes life
attacked from the Germany game. But yeah, good. Like I say, 13 on the board. Again, that's well over 60+ in the last month that we've given you. Winners here at Good Teams Win, Great Teams Cover. Well over 100 for the season so far. Like I say, we're giving you, I think it's on average something like 13, 14 winners every single week. Again, we're not a betting expert show. This is just what we like, and we're giving. Yeah, it's a lot of bets because we preview a lot of games, talk about a lot of games, but there's plenty of winners in there, and some big ones that we've had: 14-1, 14-1, 16-1 in the last 3 weeks alone from you two guys. So well done. Let's go over to the Fantasy Game Day winning team, and we had a back-to-back winner of Fantasy Game Day, which astonishing, really, if you just think of how kind of daily fantasy works, and kind of close to 300 people entering that particular game time. Agadoo or Anadu do 215.3 points to win. So again, just over that 200 point mark is where you need to be to have a chance of winning. Very, very Detroit Lions heavy. Gibbs captain 76.4, Goff 24.8. Henderson, as we've talked about a lot already, 28. Kenneth Walker, the only dud, at 8 points. J-Mo Williams, just short of 24. Amon-Ra at 17, which is quite a day for him. Tej Johnson with the 2 touchdown catches for the Buccaneers. And Cade Otton, 17.2. Yeah, it's kind of all in on the Lions, wasn't it, really, for Anna doing it, paid off.
Yeah, I mean, you highlighted it. Dan Campbell off a loss, and he's going to come and obliterate you, so maybe Anna do is giving us a listen.
And Joe, have you got any black lace gags for us?
Not today. I'll save it for next week.
Excellent. So yeah, go play Fantasy Game Day now, the UK's premier, best, fastest growing NFL daily fantasy platform. I think we were possibly introducing a new game, just appeared on the app last week, and I thought it was just a bit of a test run, so we'll see this week. But yeah, go give Gerby and the guys your support. Truly independent platform and business by UK NFL fans for UK NFL fans. So go and join. Download the app now from your app store. Use the promo code cover. You'll get a free entry after your first play, credited to your account at £7.50, which you can use to play other entries, other games after you've joined for the first time. So come and get involved with Fantasy Game Day. Last business, Thursday Night Football. It's the AFC East. Can the Patriots make it 8 in a row? It's Gangrene versus Mean Machine. Patriots look to make it 8. Patriots rolling on the back of 7 straight wins and have the division crown in their grasp. Jets looking to make it 3 wins in a row. I didn't think I was going to be saying that at any point in this season. Jets 11.5 point underdogs. Over-under is at 43.5. What are your thoughts on this one? It's a big old number.
Big number. I'll be going the under. Garrett Wilson out for 3 weeks. Has just broke while we're recording here.
Just come back.
Yep, and he back out again. Is that Abe Simpson gif of him straight back out? So yeah, after Justin Fields completed 6 passes on Sunday, I'm sure he'll probably complete a couple more, but I don't think he's going to have a good day. 11.5 is a lot of points. I'll be much more comfortable betting the under than the line, and I think the Patriots obviously win the game. They're 11.5 point favourite. That's not a take.
Yeah, I just believe that it's TNF. It's in division. They always it's always weird games. Like we saw the Raiders and Broncos. We were sat here thinking, Raiders have been trashed. The Broncos are going to destroy them. I feel like it could be something similar. I think the Patriots win, but it might just be like by a touchdown, and just the Jets managed to hold them. Play inspired defense, and hold them down, and some, hit a few big players, and then we're like, oh, the Jets going to beat the Patriots. It's just that I hate Thursday night in divisions because you always get weird stuff. The Bills do it all the time. The Patriots are going to take the AFC East curse of being a weird Thursday night team.
Yeah, interesting.
Paul?
I feel I'm with you. Byron under, I think, is likely going to be my play. I saw a lot of points. I don't like those big numbers when we get to kind of 10 plus. Don't like betting a favourite that big, but under, I think, for me. We'll see which streak ends. Yeah, we have clarity in the pick as well, if that's okay.
Do my best.
Maybe it's a change of treat. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, we're going back to the old treats, that's for sure.
Okay.
We did experiment with a new treat this week, and apparently wanted to fool around with it before he tucked into the second one. We're going to go back to the chicken pot pie variety of treat. Much more easy to chew. So,
good. The people need the clarity.
Yeah.
People need the clarity. Cool. Excellent. We'll be back with our NFL Week 11 preview, and also keep an eye out for our special interview with the CEO and chairman of the Union Jack Classic, the college football game that is coming to Wembley in September 2026, Arizona State and Kansas Jayhawks. I forgot the name of Kansas there for a quick second. But I sit down with Brian Dubisky. He's the CEO and chairman of the Union Jack Classic, one of the men that made it all happen. Great to kind of sit down and get some insight with him about how it all came to be and just excitement for the game, things like that, even this far out. And that's going to be the first, hopefully, in a few specials we've got. Hopefully, going to speak to some coaches, players, etc., in the lead up to the Union Jack Classic at Wembley. But that's it for now. Follow us. Good Teams and Great Teams cover. Podcast is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podbean, Overcast, YouTube if you want to see our faces and Joe's wonderful graphics. And also check us out on X, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky for all our bet posts, the Charlie picks, the videos, the clips that we started to cut on a more regular basis now. All that stuff's there. Give it a follow. Come support us, and hopefully jump on some winners because we're pretty hot right now. And we'll see you next time.